Hello guys, my name is Kiki and let's jump into today's project. Now let's start with number 20, my most favorite DIY of 2020. I took the fabric and everything from the sign and I'm using those super jumbo popsicle sticks, and as my frame it's really big, I'm using some popsicle sticks in the bottom, but if you're using the frames from the dollar store, you don't need those extra popsicle sticks. And now I'm gluing the first one like that, and I'm gonna use those spacers I made using 3 handles from the stir sticks, and I'm gonna use that to space my popsicle sticks. And now I've flipped it over and I'm adding more hot glue to the back so I can secure those popsicle sticks to the canvas frame. And you add to all your corners up and down. And then I'm gonna show you a simpler way to add those popsicle sticks. You add glue to the corners and to that side, and then you place your first one like that, and then you take the other one and you use your spacer to measure the space you want in between, and you add more hot glue to the corners. I'm struggling a little bit with the hot glue, and you add the hot glue to the corners and then use your spacer to arrange them, and you continue adding them just like that and using your spacer. Now we're going to take our shutters and using antique wax and a brush, we're going to start painting it with the antique wax, and I'm going to paint the front, the back, the sides, everything, so we cannot see some of that white wood showing when we hang our frame. And we continue painting until we paint everything. Now I'm taking the letters and I'm gonna give them a good coat of white chalk paint. If you like what you see here and you want to become a member of my family, I would love to have you here. If you like modern farmhouse and boho decor, that's what I make. So join my family. I would love to have you here. And after we paint them, we're gonna take that mineral color and we're gonna give it a good dry brushing. If you get a little bit more than you want, you just wipe it off or come back with the white paint and paint it over a little bit. Give it a good dry brush, and that's it. We have a beautiful letters done. Now I'm gonna take my foam and I'm gonna use a big bowl and then a smaller one to make marks on my foam, and I'm taking a box cutter, or you can use an X-Acto knife, and I'm gonna cut that circle that you see there all around. When we finish cutting that, we will have beautiful O that is perfect to make a wreath. And just be careful with that because the box cutter is sharp. And now I'm painting all around my O, and if you see me just pouring the paint on my O, it's because I'm struggling because of my finger. And continue painting until you finish. You will have a better time with that that I'm having, and that's it. Let it dry. Move on to gluing our letters. We just add lots of hot glue to that, and then we press them down to our shutter, and we're gonna glue all of them, including the O. That's gonna be our wreath. You just add lots of hot glue like that and glue it until you glued all of your letters. Then we're gonna move on to making the wreath for the O. And for that, I'm gonna use eucalyptus I bought at Walmart, and I'm taking the stems from the big bunch of eucalyptus, and now I'm gonna start gluing them to the outside of my wreath. I'm leaving like ½ an inch to an inch in between them, and I'm gonna glue them all around my wreath. just like that. And I'm gonna cover all of it, and then I'm gonna move on to the center of my wreath with more eucalyptus. And as you see me, I'm struggling with that immobilizer, so I took it off so I can glue that to my wreath. But don't worry, I shouldn't have that. It was just because I was worried I get some bumps or something, or paint or something into that finger. So I'm just gluing that, the eucalyptus, to the center of my wreath. And I'm gonna continue gluing them until I covered all of that. If you hear some weird sounds on the background, today it's pouring. So now we have it almost completed, and I'm adding pieces on some of the sides that I think it would look good, so they stick a little bit more out of the wreath and it looks more natural. And this is how the shutters turned out. As you can see, it's pretty similar to my inspiration piece. Here is the wreath. It looks beautiful, and you can see that you have a piece of foam over there because we painted in brown. And this is how it's looking. I love it. It's so beautiful. This is part of the playlist filled with compilations called Best 20 DIYs in 2020. And this is hosted by Heidi from Heidi Sonboul DIY and co-hosted by Leonep from DIY Beauty on Purpose. In the description box down below, you're gonna find the links to both of their channels and also for the playlist, so you can go and check out everyone else's compilations. Moving on to number 19 on our list. We're gonna need a piece of foam, leftover foam, a circle of the top of our planter, and one the size of the bottom of our planter, a planter, any pot will do, a sponge brush, a dowel. I'm using a piece of a mop, how that's called, stick, antique wax, burnt umber, and the mix of leftover floral from last year and the year before. A round circle ball, foam ball, a skewer, yeah, the skewer. I don't know what's going on with me today. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint our foam ball. Yeah, now I know the name. We're gonna paint our foam ball using the burnt umber. And we're gonna cover completely, but you don't have to do such a good coat. That's just because if something shows, you don't want it to look white, you want it to look brown. And now we let it dry, and we're gonna take our dowel and we're gonna stain it using the antique wax. If you like what you see here and you like modern farmhouse, boho decor, couple of silly jokes, and seasonal decor, subscribe, because that's what I do here. As you can see, I cannot even remember my words. And after you stain it, we're gonna let it dry completely, and then we're gonna move on to assembling our topiary. The ball of the topiary, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it, and using the dowel, I'm just marking the bottom part like that to know where I shouldn't be adding flowers. First, we're gonna take all of our leaves, and now that I have them separate, I'm gonna start adding my leaves to my ball. And for that, I'm cutting a little bit of the stem, and then I'm inserting them on my ball. Yes, just like that. You insert them on the ball however you want them. This is to your liking. You just go around and try to add as many as you want. This is how it's looking. Now I'm gonna move on to the flowers, and for that I'm taking off a little bit of that stem also and adding them all around my foam ball. And I'm gonna say foam ball like too many times. I couldn't remember the name and now I know it. And then this is how it's looking. And now I'm gonna move on to the those are berries. See, I don't know what's going on. I'm moving on to my berries and I'm adding all the berries to my arrangement just like that, and this is how it's looking. And now what I'm gonna move on, it's to all the embellishments like greenery, the cute pumpkin stem I have. It's a stem, it's a bush, it's something like that. It's a pick. And we're gonna start adding all of that to our arrangement like that. Moving around our foam ball so we can get some of that on each and every side. So it looks some sort like cohesive. Yeah, I think that's the best word to describe it. Now I'm adding the pom-pom thingies. And now I'm gonna move on to those berries from last year from Walmart. And I'm gonna add them on the top, on the sides, and on the front. And I continue playing with it as you can see here. Remember, floral arrangements are to your liking. You add whatever you want, however you want. You just move them around and look for the best place to put them. This is what you like. And now I'm gonna add that pick to the front. I found that last year at Walmart and I love it. And now I'm adding some pine cones all around my arrangement or my topiary ball. Now it's topiary ball, yay! And we continue adding. I have a bold spot there and I'm adding a flower and that will be it. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach that foams, the smaller one, to the bottom of our planter. And for that I'm adding lots of hot glue in the middle and on the sides and just sticking it there. Now I'm taking my dowel and I'm just poking that dowel in the planter to make an indentation, and now I'm gonna add hot glue and glue my dowel. And now I'm just adding the pieces, the leftover pieces of foam all around my dowel like that to make it sturdy and also for the floral to have something to grab onto. We're gonna continue adding them, and now I'm gonna add the center or the top. Yeah, the top is not the center. The top for our planter, and that we're gonna paint it using burnt umber. We're gonna paint it all around, cover everything up just like that. And okay, I'm thinking too fast, talking too slow. And when we have it all painted and dried, like that, yeah, we're gonna start adding our floral. And we're gonna start adding our leaves first, like we did on the top. Our leaves first, and then we're gonna move on to the flowers. So you can see, I'm adding now the flowers. We're gonna add the flowers, and after we finish with that, we're gonna start adding all the embellishments we want. You can add anything you have at home. Remember, this is just to reuse all of that fall floral we have from past years, last year, the year before. It's not the day before. And we're gonna continue adding all of that like that. So you see me here. And I'm adding now some grass over there, a little bit there. And we're gonna continue adding all of those floral. I'm adding cotton also. I'm gonna add some eucalyptus. And I'm gonna add a little bit of greenery over here and some berries. And when we have all of it full, then we're gonna move on to attaching our topiary to our topiary, yes, to the dowel. And now I'm adding a little bit more that I have left over, and this is how it's looking, just like that. And now I'm adding my eucalyptus, and this one, it's a bit hard to cut, so if you see me struggling, that's why. And I'm struggling now. It's gonna take me a while I cut that, but after I cut it, I'm gonna place it all around my arrangement. This is just playing with flowers. You have to look where you want them, play with them until you achieve the look that you're looking for. There's nothing better than that. There's nothing that works better than that. You just play with them and get them where you want them. And now, I'm just placing my last flowers or eucalyptus, playing around with my arrangement so I can move on to attaching my top like that, using lots of hot glue, and now I'm gonna glue it to the... There's mine versus the Pinterest one. Let me know how I did in the comments below. And this is how it's looking. As you can see, we have over here the planter I had to use because I couldn't find an urn. But this is how it's looking. I love how this turned out. Look at that. It's beautiful. Time for number 18 on our list. To make our sled, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna leave you in the description below the measurements to all of those pieces of stir stick. But after you have them cut, we're gonna place the 45-degree angle next to a 22-degree angle, and we're gonna add another one of those 22-degree angles, and we're gonna add a flat one and another flat one from the bigger ones, and another 22-degree angle, another 22, and the last 45-degree angle piece. Then we're gonna grab the shorter flat ones, and those would be the stability or the base, that's the name for that, the base for our sled. And we're gonna add wood glue to them, and we're gonna stick them to our stir sticks, the ones that we have in the bottom. Then we're gonna grab our staple gun, and we're gonna staple each and every one of them to secure them while we are waiting for that glue to dry. And this will give it a lot more stability, as you can see here. Now we're gonna grab our cubes, we're gonna add glue, wood glue, and we're gonna glue those to the base, like that. After we finish with that, I'm gonna come back with the legs, and those are the complete stir sticks. And with those complete stir sticks, what we're gonna do is we're gonna place the handles to the front of our sled, and we're gonna glue them by adding wood glue to our cubes and 2 staples, one on each. Then when we have them, we're gonna let that dry. But first I'm gonna cut this hanger like that and just sand it, and add a handle that we have left over from the project, from the cutting, to our sticks like this. And then we're gonna staple, and I'm having issues to staple it, but I stapled it. Now we're gonna take this hanger, add some hot glue, glue it over there, and staple it to the handle that we used. Now we let it dry really nice, and we're gonna come back with antique wax and a sponge brush, and we're gonna paint that top with that beautiful antique wax to make this look like a vintage sled. We're gonna paint it all over just like this, and I'm gonna continue painting until I have covered everything off the top. Then I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm gonna paint the bottom of those stir sticks that we just painted in that color antique wax, and we're gonna paint them. Now, as you can see, I painted those, and I'm gonna come back with crimson to paint the legs and the cubes from the base. Now, that's what I'm doing. I'm just painting those legs really nicely with that red, beautiful red, that it's crimson from Waverly. And I'm painting my cubes, and I'm painting my legs on the underside of my leg. Let me show you. We need to paint also the underside of that leg. If you want to paint this before, you can do so, but I wouldn't recommend it because glue doesn't stick to paint. Now I'm going to take black paint and a dowel, and I'm going to make the look of if it has nails on it. And for that, as you can see, I'm just making dots to the stapled parts of the base to make it look like this. Is how our sled turned out, and look at that. It's looking so cute. Now we have to decorate it, right? Let's make that. Now let's move on to number 17. Now we're gonna start wrapping our rope like that to itself. We're gonna make the center, and then we're gonna start wrapping it around itself over and over and over again. And as you can see, that's the tricky part of the wrapping the rope, because it can get loose at any time. But you continue wrapping and just holding it while the glue sets, and like that you keep going until you have the desired amount or length or size of your rope, it's like a placemat or rug, but we're making some boho wall decor. Continue going around it until you finish it. Then secure that to the back part, and that's your top part, because you will see all the glue stuck to that part. So that's our back part or top part. That's the part that's gonna go on the back. And now I'm securing all of my lines, and then I'm gonna just burn the excess of the frayed rope just like that, having some water on the side just in case. I never had any problem just burning them, but you never know, so better safe than sorry. And that's it. Now we're gonna start painting. No, we're gonna add first on the back part a piece of cardboard so we can make this a little bit sturdier. And I'm gonna add some twine so I can hang it. A little bit of hot glue, piece of twine, and then we add lots of hot glue to our cardboard just like that, and we attach our cardboard. And now we're gonna start painting. With our dark gray, what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint the center of our artwork, boho artwork. We're gonna paint the center, and after we finish painting the center of our artwork, we're gonna paint a rim around the perimeter of our artwork or boho wall hanging. As you can see, I haven't figured out what is this. But it's something between artwork and a boho wall hanging. Continue painting until you have all of it covered, and then just paint the rim that I'm gonna show you around our circle like that. You're gonna go all around it just like that, and that's it. Moving on. And now for our tassels, I'm gonna show you. I wrapped around my yarn 20 times, and I wrap it on top like that, just a knot, and then I cut the excess of the top part. I tie a knot around it like that, double knot, and then cut the excess, divide them and cut the excess, and that's it. We have our tassels. For my twine tassels, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wrap the twine 15 times and then repeat the process to make the tassel. And just like that, we have a twine tassel. Now I'm gonna start attaching my tassels following the same pattern you see here. We're gonna attach one of twine, one of yarn, And we're going to continue adding them all around our piece. I'm leaving like an inch or so between tassels. Now we're finishing our project. As you can see, the pattern goes all around it. After that, we're going to give it a good coat of clear spray paint so it sets the tassels and works for outdoors. And this is how it turned out. As you can see, I love this piece. The tassels, as you can see, they are stiff because of the spray paint, and now it can be used outdoors. Now it's time for number 16 on our list. First, we're going to take our garden dividing stake, and we're going to remove the stake part, and also we're going to remove all of those ornaments that you see on top. Try just to cut them as close as you can because we're going to use them a little bit later. After you cut all of them, you're going to cut the same parts of the other garden dividing stake. And you continue cutting, and now you're going to hot glue them together just by adding a little bit of hot glue in the center and just gluing them together. We're going to take our stirring sticks and we're going to measure them on the center like so, and then we're going to score them with our knife. After that, we're going to cut them, and we're going to cut 6 of those. Now we're going to add 2 in the center, like so, by hot gluing them to our garden stake, metal window kind of thing. Hot glue them together like that, and repeat the same to the sides. We're going to do exactly the same thing to both sides, like so. Once you finish, we're going to measure using another stirring stick the length of our window. And we're going to cut 2 of those to close our window. Now we hot glue them together like that. And repeat on the other side. Just like that. After we hot glue them, we are going to start adding the pieces that I told you to cut a little bit closer as you can to the piece, just like that. And we're going to hot glue them to the center of our metal window, so it gives it a little bit extra to that window. And now we're going to start painting our frame using our antique wax. We're going to complete and paint everything. We're going to complete that frame, and after we finish, we're going to cover every corner from the frame. Just paint everything. And after that, we're going to start dry brushing our metal. And for that, I'm using the mineral paint from Waverly, and I'm dry brushing everything. After that, I'm going to use the gunmetal paint, and I'm going to give it a good dry brush of gunmetal. Continue dry brushing all around it until you finish. Now I'm using the gunmetal to dry brush and give it a little bit extra detail to our metal so it looks like a little bit old. You can use the silver if you want it to look a little bit newer. Now I'm taking the celery paint and I'm painting our wreath like that. Then we're gonna take our green paint, leaf green, and we're gonna give it a good dry brushing. Just like that. All around it. Now we're gonna attach our wreath to our window. And for that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our ribbon, add a little bit of hot glue like so, and glue it. And then we're gonna glue it to the back of the wreath and to the back of our window. Just like that. Hot glue it, and that's it. Let me show you. And this is how it turned out. As you can see, we have our beautiful wreath, the ribbon over there, our beautiful metal window. Let me give you a closer look so you can see it. That's the detailing that the metal has. It's so beautiful. Now it's the time for number 15. And to make this, we're gonna use 2 pieces of 1 by 2 of 6 inches, 2 pieces of 22 inches of 1 by 6, no, 1 by 2, and 1 piece of 1 by 6, that's the one, of 22 inches, wood glue, some wooden cubes, nails, I got those at Walmart, and now we're gonna move on to start adding our glue to our smaller wooden pieces, those, and we're gonna attach those to the ends. And I forgot that this too are 22 inches, but my wooden center 1 by 6, it's 20. So we can have 1 inch to each side, so it covers the edges or the sides. And we're gonna add more glue to the other side and attach it. Now I forgot that I had to add my feet to my box, so I took it off and started all over, because that's what we do. No, you just add your feet first before gluing it. Don't do as I do as I say. And we're gonna glue that and flip it over. You see me struggling here trying to get it in, but I'm gonna flip it over and then attach my cube box, the box to my bottom part. Now we let it dry completely, and then we're gonna move on to staining it. Before of that, I'm gonna add my nails because I had to take that some other place to nail it. And now I'm using antique wax to stain it, and I'm using a wet, kind of damp sponge brush. Yes, that's a damp sponge brush. And I'm just staining away. If you like what you see here, and if you like Modern Farmhouse and Boho Decor and a couple of silly jokes and me forgetting the words to what I should be saying, just subscribe, because that's what I do every single time. And now I'm showing you my nails. As you can see, I had to take that to the floor so I could nail those nails because they were hard. But now I'm just showing you that I'm gonna paint all around it, including the feet, the bottom, the sides, everything. We're gonna paint everything of our wooden box or stain. That will be, yeah, stain. See, I can remember my words. And as you can see, I have a nail there that came a little bit out, but I'm just painting it and forgetting about it. And then after we're finished and it's all painted, we're gonna decorate it. So that's why I'm not taking too much care of that nail that's out. But I should, so just forget it. You never saw that one. And continue painting until you paint all of it. Up, down, bottom, feet, everything. and then let it dry completely so we can move on to decorating it. We're gonna take our wooden box and we're gonna start decorating it. Look at that, it looks beautiful. I'm taking this garland that I got from eBay and it just arrived and I'm so happy. And I'm adding that to the bottom of my box, but you can use anything you have at home, or you can buy maybe some eucalyptus from Walmart or your dollar store. And I'm just arranging it like that, and I'm gonna keep on playing with it until I find the perfect placing for it. Then when I finish placing it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start adding the candles and the pumpkins you see there. And now I'm loving that it's just hanging a little bit on the sides, but I want to add some of that eucalyptus to the middle of my box. And now I place it like that, and I keep on playing with it. And then I'm gonna add my taller candle. I got this ones at Walmart, and I'm gonna add the middle one, like the medium sized. No, that was the smaller one. The smaller one, and then the medium sized candle to the other side. And I'm placing them like I want them. You can play with it as much as you want. And then I'm gonna add 2 cute pumpkins. And that will be it for my centerpiece. Look how cute. I love it. And this is how my centerpiece turned out. As you can see, those are the beautiful candles and the pumpkins. This is how it's looking. There you can see the wooden box on the bottom. That's how it looks. Moving on to number 14 on our list. Now to make our cones, we're gonna take one of those poster boards and we're gonna measure it in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Make a triangle, cut those flaps of the triangle, and then we're gonna start rolling it on itself. But first I'm gonna get a little bit of tape and save it on the side of my table for when I get my cone. And this is what I was telling you. We're gonna wrap it around itself, and then we're gonna add the tape. In the description box down below, I'm gonna leave you a link to my friend Yesenia's channel and also to her video, so you can go and see how she explained it, because I know I didn't do it justice. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut a little bit more tape and just secure that cone like that. We're gonna make 3. One is the big one, and this big one I want to make it out of ribbon. And for that I'm just cutting some ribbon, and I'm using like 3 to 4 inches of ribbon, and I'm gonna cut a lot of those pieces. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a strip of hot glue, fold it in the middle, glue it together, and set it aside. And we're gonna do lots of those. And we're gonna continue doing that because those would be around our tree. So we're gonna do a lot of those thingies, loops. And then we're gonna add hot glue to those loops, and we're gonna glue them to our tree. And I'm starting in the back part, because if I don't get them to go really nicely together, that won't be showing. So we're gonna continue just gluing them together like so. And in the bottom you can add some of that ribbon and cover the bottom part, but I decided to add another row below this one. So we're gonna continue just gluing them, and now I'm gluing them in between the first 2. Let me show you, in between of those, and we're gonna continue gluing them until we cover all of our cone. Just like that, we continue gluing them. We're gonna cover our cone like that until we reach the top. And now that we have reached the top, I'm gonna cover the tip of that with a little bit of that same beautiful ribbon, and I'm just gluing it all around the tip of the cone. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take two of those loops and I'm gonna glue one in the front like that, and one of them in the back, just like that. When we have it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a star that you will see now, one of those stars, and I'm gonna cut the top part. I'm just measuring it so I know how I want to place it, and then I'm gonna cut that part with my pliers. And just like that, we have a beautiful metal star that we will add a little bit of hot glue and glue it to the top. This is how it's looking. You can stop here, but you know me, I have to go extra. I don't have a pipberry garland in white, so I'm just making a shellberry garland. I'm just trying to recreate the pipberry garland by doing it on twine and using this small seashells. Yeah, I know. I'm extra, just like that. Too extra. And I'm gonna continue gluing my shells to my twine until I reach the end of the twine. If you have the small cute pipberry garland in white, just go ahead and glue that one. But I had to improvise. Now I'm just gluing it around the Christmas tree, and I just think this adds beautiful touch to this awesome ribbon cone tree. And look at that, it's looking beautiful. And that will be it. After you finish with that, that will be it. A beautiful Christmas tree. Here we have the ribbon one of my favorites. This one, it's just beautiful, and that garland just completed it. Look at that, it's perfect. And here you can see all of them. Now it's time for number 13 on our list. This is an old wreath I had, and I will be using it to make our chandelier. I took off all the wires, and now I'll be spray painting it using Harry's Walnut Spray Paint. And as you can see here, we have it spray painted. And we will be using those beads from Bead Park. Those are 500 beads, and it's more than enough to make our chandelier. We're gonna use a little bit more, like 3/4 of the bag, and we'll be using that twine to string our beads. We're gonna start with 24-inch string, 22 beads, bit of water. We're gonna make a knot, and in the other end we're gonna add a bit of hot glue and string our beads. We're gonna make 8 of those. And now we're gonna take 25 beads and a 28-inch string, and we're gonna make the same knot in one end, bit of hot glue in the other, and string them, 8 of them. And now we're gonna start tying up our 22 bead strings like that. We're gonna take first end that has the little metal, and we're gonna tie it to there, and we're gonna tie 4 of them to those 4 metals like that. Those are the 22 beads. So we have shorter in the outside and longer on the inside. So you tied all of them around using the metal as your guide, just like that. And then when we finish that, we're gonna take the other 4 22 beads strings. If you want, you can add a bit of hot glue to those knots now, or you can wait until you finish the second layer that we will be doing. Now I'm taking another 22 bead string and I'm tying it in between those metal pieces. And I'm gonna repeat that all around, so we will need 4 of those. As you can see, I'm tying them up in the center of our first row, and that gives a cascade effect. And when you have 2 knots together, you add your bead of hot glue. And that's it for our first layer. Now we're gonna do our second layer, or the center part of our wreath or chandelier. We cut the excess twine from that first layer and we move on to our second layer. Now we start the second layer as the first one, tying it to the metal part that we have on our wreath, like that, and do 1 row of those tied to the metal part, and then we're gonna make another row, same as the first line or layer. We're gonna make it in the center of those 2. Tie them really tight and continue adding them. We will add 4 in the first layer and 4 in the second layer in the center, and then you have your 28 beads, 25 beads, 28 inch strand tied together like that. And now we're gonna cut the excess, add our hot glue so they won't move, and cut the excess twine, flip it over, that's really important, and add hot glue to those knots. Now we're gonna put them where they belong and add hot glue to the knot and to the sides. And that's it, we have a beautiful chandelier. And this is how it turned out. As you can see, it's beautiful on my kitchen lamp. This is how it looks. Let me give you a closer look. And this is how it turned out. It's beautiful and gives this beautiful homey feeling to my kitchen. I love it. Time for number 12 on our list. First, what we're gonna use for this DIY is this head that I made last year or a couple of years back. You're gonna find in the description box below the link for that. And I'm gonna use this frame that I had with Marilyn Monroe face and some poster board. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that piece of backing, Marilyn Monroe face, something like that, the back of the frame, and we're gonna trace it on our black poster board. And I'm gonna cut it using my scissors, just like that, remove the excess, and then I'm gonna grab that piece of poster board and I'm gonna glue it to the back of my frame, just using regular hot glue, and it wasn't hot. And now I'm just adding the hot glue, that it's hot now, to that and gluing it. And now I'm gonna take another piece of cardboard, that poster board, I was going to say cardboard, and I'm gonna glue it to the side so we can make some type of border, beautiful border on the sides, so it looks a little bit more professional. That's the look that we're going for here. And I'm gonna do the same in the other side and in the top and bottom of my frame. No, backing. Of my frame backing. And I'm gonna repeat it, and just like that we have it, and it's so cute. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my frame, the back part facing up, and I'm just gonna pull those thingies that it has to hold the back where it should be. And now I'm adding hot glue to the base and adding my backing, because I'm not gonna use those thingies to hold it together. And now I just flip the thingies and I flip my frame, and this is how it's looking. Now I'm gonna take my ghost head and I'm gonna cut the neck of it. Yeah, I know that sounded creepy, but it's Halloween. And we're gonna remove the neck of that one, just like that, by cutting it with our box cutter really nicely until we remove that neck and back of the head, like that. And we will have that piece. And to that piece, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add hot glue to the sides so we can get it nicely glued to the foam head. Just like that. You can find those foam heads at Walmart, or you can just order them at eBay as I did. And we're gonna glue it really nicely, just like that. And when we're finished, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add lots of hot glue to that back. And then we will push it to our frame really hard so it gets glued. And now I'm just gluing the sides of that fabric, that's cheesecloth. And if you want to know how I made this, go in the description box down below and you'll find the video for that ghost head. And after we glue all of that, we will have a beautiful and creepy ghostly frame. That's it. This is how they turned out. As you can see, we have our ghostly frame over here. He's so cute. I love that he's looking down because he's coming out of the frame. It's the time for number 11. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our rings and we're gonna cover them in this raffia from Dollar Tree. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unwrap that raffia, and I'm gonna start gluing it to my ring. And just like that, I'm gonna start wrapping it all around my ring. I changed the angle, and I know that because this would be a little bit high, like really huge. So I want to give you a better look. And we're gonna continue until we get to the end. Then we add a little bit more hot glue, wrap it around, and then cut the excess. And that's how it's looking. Now we're gonna repeat that, but first I'm gonna cut this ring and divide it, and we're gonna cover it completely with our raffia. Same thing we did with the other ring. We're gonna wrap it all around our loop. And this is the easiest way I found to do it without it getting unwrapped, and you don't have to add lots of hot glue because it will stay thanks to your finger. So we're gonna continue wrapping it like so all around our hoop until we reach the end. And you don't have to be perfect with this, you just want to give it a little bit of natural look to it, just like taking that metal kind of look out of our hoop. So we're gonna continue wrapping, and I'm getting to the end, and I wanted to show you that this isn't a long process. It's pretty short and awesome. I loved it. Now I'm gonna take my shims and I'm gonna unwrap them, of course. And then we're gonna start gluing them, and as you can see, we're gonna use that thin part for the top, and the thicker part, it's gonna go on the bottom. What we're gonna do is we're gonna glue it like 1 inch up. Let me show you better. We add the hot glue, we glue that, and we hold it while it dries. Now I'm gonna repeat the same in the other side of the opening. Just like that. Now we have that side. I'm gonna do the middle and hold it while it dries. That's important because if not, everything is gonna fall. So we're gonna continue adding them like that. And what I'm doing is just going in between our two sides. As you can see, I'm showing you that I'm go in the middle of the two shims that I just put. And we're gonna continue adding them all around. And I can stress enough on the holding them while they're drying, because if not, when they do this, they are gonna get unglued. Believe me, it happened a couple of times. So we're gonna continue gluing them and letting them fall because this would be a lot easier if we had another set of hands. But as we don't have that, what I'm doing is just flipping them to the inside so I can glue my my higher loop. The one that goes in the top. So I'm gluing the two sides like that, and then I'm gonna come back if I can do it and it doesn't keep falling, and I will come back for the one that we glued on the other side of those two. Let me just show you. I'm just having a little fun with this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue that and glue the other one and holding them while it's drying. And then I'm gonna glue the other one, and as you can see, I'm still having issues. But you will master this a couple of shims in. So we're gonna hold it there while it dries, and then we're gonna come back and glue those two really nice. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna glue all of them to that hoop on the top. I know this is a bit complicated, but I just wanted to explain you. But you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just holding them together while that dries, adding hot glue, enough of that, so we get it in place. And then I'm gonna come back with a little bit of wire while I'm making or gluing the other ones to that hoop. So I'm adding a little bit of wire, and then I'm gonna cut the excess, get it tied, not too tight, to the top hoop. And as you can see, this looks like a lampshade kind of thingy, but remember, we're making a tree color. So we're gonna continue gluing those, and that one became unglued because I forgot to hold it while the glue was setting. I told you that part, it's really important. So we're gonna continue gluing them like so, all around our hoop, just like this. And then we're gonna come back with more of those shims, and we're gonna glue them in between the two that we have already over there. Already over there. So we're gonna continue just gluing them, and as you can see, we're having it leaning for one of the sides, but that's because I made a mistake that I have to fix in a while, because yeah, I mixed up the two straps and I made a mistake. As you can see, they are one in the front and one in the back, and the front one is on the back one, and that's a mess. So we're gonna continue adding these ones while I fix that. And now I realize what's going on. I fixed it, and now I'm adding more shims in between the ones that I have. So we get like this apple kind of basket look. That, yeah, apple basket look. So we're gonna continue just gluing them in between like this, and I want to show you all the process so you see that this is really easy to make and really quick. I just got this in an hour, and this was my first time just attempting something like this, and it's pretty sturdy because I have it right now on my tree and nothing's happening. And Santa just got the instructions that he cannot touch it. So we're gonna continue gluing them in between, like so. And if it falls, you just pick it up, add more hot glue, and continue gluing them until you cover all of your lampshade shape. So we're gonna continue with this, gluing in the top and on the bottom, picking them up because I'm too impatient and I can't wait for it to dry. So we're gonna continue doing this, and now you see why I wanted to change the angles for today, because you can see the whole project this way. So we continue, and look at that, it's looking like an apple basket. It's so cute. Now this is the last one, and as I told you already, I'm impatient and it fell. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off all the excess glue and glue strings, and we're gonna come back with antique wax and sponge brush, and we're gonna start painting it like that. You don't have to be perfect on your paint job, but you want to cover the front of your sticks. You can leave it like this if you want, but I wanted a darker kind of wood for my tree because I'm doing the flock look, and I thought that that light wood wouldn't look so cute with it. That's just me. You can do you and just leave it like this. And we're gonna continue just applying our antique wax like that, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a paper towel and I'm gonna wipe them off. That I'm gonna show you right now because I forgot to record it. And as you can see, I'm just wiping it off, and I'm painting also the raffia so it gets like a lighter tone from this darker wood, but not so light like it is. Yeah, that's weird, but that's what I want. I wanted it to be a little bit darker. And we're gonna continue doing this and wiping the excess and painting and wiping off the excess all around our hoop or tree color. Now it's not a hoop. So we're gonna paint them completely, and as you can see now, we can see all the imperfections on the wood, and you know I love that. So we paint them completely like that, and we can see a wood grain and all. Look at that, so cute. And this is how it turned out. As you can see, we have it here in my Christmas tree. If you like modern farmhouse, boho decor, and lots of silly jokes, that's what I do here, so subscribe. And if you like this video, hit the thumbs up. That really helps to support my channel. I do new videos every week, so remember to hit the bell so you can get notified. And here's my social media. Go and check me out. Hey, we are halfway through our list. It's time for number 10. First, we're gonna take our garden fence and we're gonna bend it like so. And we're gonna remove the top part or the details it has on the top and the stakes in the bottom, just like that. We're gonna continue bending it until we achieve our shape, and that's a square. We need it to be squared to make our beautiful bird cage. Continue bending, cut everything off, like that. And then we're gonna cut that piece so we have a perfect square, just like that. And we're gonna add lots of hot glue, and we're gonna need some clothespins. Don't do as I did, just do as I say, because that was a mess when it became undone. So just add your clothespins instead of just pushing them. Add your clothespins like so, and after that we're gonna start with those stir sticks, and we're gonna add some in the center, just making a cross just like that, and we're gonna add one in the top, one crossed like that, And after we glue all of those, we're gonna glue the centerpiece, and that's the details that I told you we have to save. I don't remember if I told you that, but you're gonna have to save all of those pieces of the top. And you're gonna add those to the center, and then we're gonna make the top of our birdcage by crisscrossing some of those stir sticks, one for each corner and then one in the center of each triangle. Now let me show you a little bit better how we're gonna make that happen. And now this is when I'm showing you that in the center of the triangle we add another piece, and after that we're gonna add a bead to the top like that, and we're gonna start painting using our celery chalk paint from Waverly. We're gonna paint all of our birdcage, inside, sides, and everything. You need a good sponge brush for that because we're gonna paint everything. After we finish painting all of those nooks and crannies and all the spaces inside out, everything, we're gonna give it a good dry brush. And that's why we use the gloves. Lots of painting involved in this video. And now with the hazelnut from Waverly, we're gonna give it a good dry brush using the oldest brush that I have. And we're gonna give it a good dry brush all around our beautiful birdcage, and that will be it. You will have a beautiful, beautiful birdcage to display in your home. And this is how it turned out, as you can see. Now it's time for number 9 on our list. First, we're going to take our wood and we're going to start cutting it. You're going to find all the measurements in the description box down below. And we're using our miter box and our saw. And just cutting all of that. And then we will take 3 pieces of 28 inches of the box spring wood. You see that? It's really messy. 1 dowel of Walmart cut in half, 12-inch dowels cut in half, 1 painter's stir stick cut in half, also without the handle, and those 2 pieces, I'm going to leave you the measurements in the description box down below. 2 of those wooden blocks, some paper, 2 different types, and some wood filler. Also our pliers to take all of those staples off our wood. Now let's get started. First, we're gonna start taking off those staples, but be careful because I stabbed myself with the pliers. So just be really careful when taking all the staples from that wood that comes on the back box springs. Just be really careful with that. And the struggle is real, as you can see, to get them off. But I'm taking them off like you see me doing here. And I'm going to take them off like that. And now we're going to take it and sand it completely, all the sides, because we want to take off those pieces from the fabric that the box spring has. And we're going to sand it completely. And after that, we're going to flip it and sand it on the bottom part also, like you see me doing here. And we're gonna sand it completely, and on the sides like so. And after that, we're gonna take our wood filler and we're gonna start filling the holes that the staples left behind, just like that. So we fill them, and then we move on to letting them dry for a long time. It takes like 1 to 2 hours. And after that, we're gonna sand them really nicely, like that. Just like that, we sand them really nicely so we get a smooth surface. And then after we sand them, what we're gonna do is we're gonna wipe them off and let them dry again. And now we're gonna make the bottom pieces for our tray, and for that we're gonna take the smaller wooden piece, add some glue, wood glue, and then flip it over, add 2 staples on the corners, and that's it. We repeat with the other one, and we have our bottom pieces for our bathroom tray, bathtub tray. And now I'm taking the wooden cubes to divide my wood pieces, yes, like space them. And now I'm adding staples to add my pieces, my bottom pieces, and I'm gonna repeat on the other side as you see me here. And for those wooden cubes I said 2, but we need 4 because those are the handles. Now we are assembling our handles just by using some wood glue like that and gluing the cubes and the dowel on top, just like that. And we repeat on our other side. Now that everything is dried, we're gonna take our antique wax and a sponge brush and we're gonna start painting. And I know some of you love to watch me paint and watch everyone here paint, so I'm gonna give you an extended clip of me painting it. And we continue painting it until we cover everything, and I'm gonna paint the handles in the same color, but you can use any color you want for those handles, including silver, black, or whatever your heart desires. And if you like what you see here and you would like to become a member of my family, hit the subscribe button because I would love to have you here. I love modern farmhouse, boho decor, and I love a little bit of woodworking as you see here, but simple. I don't have fancy tools here. And if you like that, just become a member of my family. And as you see here, I will continue painting and I'm gonna let you enjoy the music for a while. When we finish, we're gonna add the varnish, and for that I'm using the Waverly varnish, matte varnish, and I'm just brushing it all around my piece. We have to cover it really nicely because this is going to our bathtub, so we need it really sealed. You can use that, or you can use any varnish or clear coat that you have, including spray paint, but you just want it to be really nicely covered all around it so you don't lose the beautiful color of the antique wax. And that's it, you have a beautiful bathtub tray. And this is how it turned out, as you can see. Time for number 8. I'm so excited. First, we're gonna take our cardboard circle and we're gonna paint it with the acrylic black paint. And we're doing this to get it covered in the top and the outer rim and also on the bottom. And we're doing it so we can give it the top hat look to our snowman top hat. Tree topper. So we're gonna continue painting until we cover everything. And I got this idea from my beautiful friend Jenny and Diane from Decor Easy. Jenny did a beautiful set of Christmas tree toppers that I knew I had to recreate because I just love them. They were so beautiful, and I'm trying to make one as beautiful as hers, but I know I'm not gonna do that because she's so talented. But I'm gonna continue painting my circle and try to get the best that I can, trying to give it as always. So we're gonna continue painting it, and now I'm painting the bottom of my circle. And you know me, I'm not the most patient person ever, so I will say that I would let it dry, but you know that it won't be completely dry when I come back to work on it. So we're gonna paint it completely and we're gonna let it dry, so do as I say, never as I do. So we continue painting, we finish that up, just like that. We set it aside and let it dry completely. And now I'm taking my planter that I added this piece of cardboard to make it a little bit sturdier. If you can find a planter that's a lot more sturdy than mine, then you don't have to do this part, but I'm painting it because mine has a little bit of shine to it and my paint is matte. So I will have that part that is shiny and I will have the part that is matte on the bottom, and I thought that wasn't going to look so cute. So I decided to give a quick coat of paint to my planter. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm painting it, and now, as I said, it's not dry, but I need to glue it. So I'm gonna add a little bit of hot glue on the lip of the planter, and I'm going to press it inside the inner circle. And I did that by just tracing my planter on the outside and cutting the inner circle of my circle. Yeah, I said circle twice. With that measurement. So now I can fit my planter inside the cardboard. And for that, I'm adding hot glue and pushing it a little bit to the inside of the cardboard. Like you can see here, I'm just trying to go slowly so you can see all the process. And as you can see, I'm pushing it in little by little, adding a little bit of hot glue and pushing it in to get it really nicely. Now I'm just going all around my planter after I finish with this. I'm gonna go all around my planter, adding a bead of hot glue so I can get a better hold between my planter and my cardboard. I want to make sure that that cardboard isn't going anywhere because we need that to stay, especially as we are using it as a tree topper. So we need that to last all Christmas long, and we have the longest Christmas ever here in Puerto Rico. Yeah, we have like 2 months of Christmas. So it has to last at least 2 months. Now we let it dry and come back. It's not dry because you know me, I can't wait for that paint to dry, but I'm taking the strip of poster board that I have and I'm gonna glue it in the top to cover those holes that the planter has. Just like that, I glue the center, and that center is just the center of my planter, and then I'm gonna add hot glue to the side and I'm gonna glue it to my planter. Just like that, I will repeat the same process in the other side, and you will see that I didn't add enough glue, so I will add a little bit of hot glue, extra hot glue, so it glues really nicely. So I'm gonna continue gluing it just like that until I glue everything like so. And now that we have it, we're gonna start decorating. Yeah, I know it haven't dried, but I want to decorate it. Now I'm adding my ribbon, and I'm gonna add a strip of ribbon all around the base of my hat. So I'm gonna cut a piece and I'm gonna start gluing it in the back because we don't want those pieces to show. And as you know, this is a circle, so we have to pull the ribbon so it gets really tight around the shape of our planter. And right now I'm just doing that. I will unglue that piece of the ribbon and I'm gonna glue it again, and I'm gonna do the same with the other side, but I'm folding the excess, and now I'm gonna add hot glue and pull really tightly so I can glue it tight to my planter so it looks like an actual top hat. And then I'm gonna come back with my pick, and I wanted to take it apart, but this was hard. I bought that pick like 2 years ago from Walgreens, and it's so awesomely made that I couldn't take it apart. So what I decided is I'm gonna cut the base, and I'm trying to bend it, but it won't work because it's really good quality. Good quality wire on there. So I'm just cutting it with my wire cutters, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna glue it, bend it a little bit so I can place it where I want it, and then I'm gonna add hot glue in the back of my pick, like that. And I'm gonna glue that to my top hat. It's not mine, it's a snowman top hat. Yep, I stole the snowman's top hat and put it on my tree. Yeah, this is weird. And now I'm taking last year's bow and I'm removing the legs for that bow from that, and I glue those legs, and then I'm adding my bow to the top hat. And then I'm gonna give it a good fluff when it glues, because I'm having some issues gluing it. It took forever. I don't know if it was the pick or it was the ribbon or the pipe cleaner, but something wasn't gluing over there. And after I glue that, I'm gonna give a good fluff to my bow, and I'm gonna glue the pieces that I need to go up or down. I'm just gonna place them with a little bit of hot glue to my hand so they stay there where I want them. And as you can see, I'm holding it down while fluffing because it took a long time for this to dry and to set what I wanted. So I don't want to mess the placement of my bow. So I'm gonna fluff it, and that's it. We have a beautiful topper. Look at that. And this is how my beautiful topper turned out. Look at that. It's looking so beautiful on my newly flocked tree. Moving on to number 7 on our list. Our first step, it's the most important because you're gonna add some painter's tape to your stir stick, and then you're gonna screw a screw to that. That's what you can do if you don't want or you don't have a drill, because that won't chip your wood. It won't split. Now I'm gonna show you. There you have it. And now we're gonna take our wood and we're gonna stain it using our antique wax. We're gonna paint all of those pieces of woods. And we're stir sticks, we're gonna paint them in black. We're gonna paint them down like that, as you can see here, all around, every nook and cranny, just like that. And now I'm just painting the sides, as you can see, in the back also. And we're gonna cover everything on our 2 boards. And now I'm taking my stir sticks, and as you can see, I have my O hook. I put my name on that because I don't know how it's called. And I'm removing from my paint stir sticks my masking tape so I can paint them, and I'm gonna paint them using black paint. I'm gonna use that with a wet sponge, and I'm gonna sponge that as it was some sort of a stain. So you can see, we can see the wood grain showing through our paint stir stick. And we're gonna finish them all like that. And those are the back and the sides for our shelf. So we're gonna stain them completely. And then we're gonna move to assemble our shelves. And I love that part. I don't know what is, but I just love working with wood right now. I think it's the summer. And as you can see, I'm finishing my piece like that. If you like what you're seeing here, remember to subscribe, because I love working with wood and also with home decor. And I love modern farmhouse and also boho decor. Now I'm gonna add my O screws or hooks a little bit to my stir stick. As you can see, it's just a little bit, not completely. And now I'm gonna add my 2 shelves, and I'm gonna measure my stir sticks so I can leave a stir stick distance from the edge to where I will be putting my stir stick. Now let me show you that. You measure like that, and you measure in the other side like that, and you just mark that down, and then we're gonna add some wood glue, and as you can see, that's our space from the corners for where we will put our stir sticks. And I'm adding that wood glue, a little bit of wood glue, and then what I'm gonna do after I do my wood glue, I'm gonna add 2 staples, one in the top, one in the bottom, so we have a sturdier stir stick so we can just use those nails. I'm gonna try that, but they will move around, so I will add my 2 staples. And as you can see, I'm struggling with those nails. And now I'm gonna add my staples to make it a lot easier. I staple that, and after I staple everything up, I'm gonna move on to adding my nails. Now that's stapled, and we're gonna move on to our nails, and we're gonna add 2 on each corner, as you can see that I'm doing here. 1 on each corner, and that's it. Now it's finished, and we're gonna attach our sides, and for that I'm gonna add a little bit of wood glue like that, and then I'm gonna attach my piece just like that, and I'm gonna let it dry a little bit more than in the back so I can add my nails to the center of my piece. So you can see I'm measuring, and now I'm gonna nail that just like that. Be careful with your fingers. And I'm gonna add my other nail like that. Careful with your fingers again. And I'm nailing that piece, and then I'm gonna nail this one and finish with the nail on the top, and we're gonna repeat that to the other side. Now I'm taking my dowel and I'm measuring my dowel with the top of our stir sticks, and I measured that, and now I'm gonna cut it, and now I'm sanding it so we can add our screw to make a hole in the center of our dowel. We did that hole, and now we're gonna attach our dowel just by screwing our O hooks, and that's it. You have a beautiful shelf with a paper towel holder. This is how it turned out. As you can see, my mom has it already styled and working for her needs. Now it's time for number 6 on our list. We're gonna take some black poster board, and I'm gonna cut 3 pieces of it of 1 inch horizontally. And this is how it's looking. Now I'm cutting the other 2, and I have my 3 pieces. And now I'm gonna flip my poster board, and I'm gonna cut vertically the other pieces, and you're gonna cut as many as you want. I have all of those and my 3 longer ones, and now I'm just placing them like that, leaving like 2 inches between them like that, and I'm gonna start weaving my pieces just like that. And now I'm gonna add a little bit of hot glue to glue my pieces to that bottom piece. I'm sorry I'm not in the frame, but I'm gonna show you a little bit better now that I realize that I'm not in the frame. And now I'm gonna add the glue, and you can see I'm adding glue to that first piece. And now I'm gonna take another one of those pieces and I'm gonna weave it through. Let me just add a little bit more hot glue, and I'm gonna weave it through those longer pieces horizontal, and yeah, I'm weaving it horizontally. And I'm gonna continue until I finish, and now I have them. And now I'm just bending the corners or those longer pieces all around, so I have like little tab to attach my longer pieces. And as you can see, I just left the corner one and I took the second one to add that longer piece, and I'm gonna continue gluing it all around like that. And then when I don't have any more of that piece, let me show you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna flip it a little bit over, add a little bit of hot glue like that, attach the other piece, and continue adding that to my sides. Just keep on gluing. And just keep on gluing until you cover all of your sides. When you finish, you just cut the excess, add a little bit more hot glue, and glue it together. Like that. Now I'm gonna cut two thinner pieces to add to the center of my, that's tobacco basket. I just forgot my tobacco basket. And now I'm just gluing the corners, and I'm gonna add a drop of hot glue in the middle after I just glued that one like that. And I'm gonna glue another one in the top. That piece is like 1/2 inch, something like that. I didn't measure it, but you can measure if you want. And I'm gonna glue it in the middle and in the corner, and that's it. We have a tobacco basket. Now moving on to the fun part, we're gonna start dry brushing our tobacco basket, and for that I'm using Mineral from Waverly Chalk Paint. And what I'm doing, you've seen me lots of times doing this, I'm just taking a little bit of paint and just brushing it in my napkin to remove the excess, and then I come back and I start painting all around. Not doing an awesome job on it. But that's the beauty of dry brushing. You don't have to do a beautiful job. It will look beautiful even if you don't do a beautiful job. Yeah, I use the word beautiful a lot. And we're gonna continue dry brushing all of our beautiful, yeah, I just did it again. I should add a beautiful count. And we're gonna continue adding our dry brushing effect to our tobacco basket. And continue painting, and I'm gonna let you enjoy the painting process. Now I'm painting the sides and doing the exact same effect. After we finish with our dry brushing, we're gonna let it dry, and then I'm gonna come back with some floral I found at Walmart. I'm showing you the ones that I'm using, some wire and a banner, and I'm adding a leaf, black leaf, to that banner because it had a traditional color leaf, and I just painted it and I'm just gluing it back. Now let me show you the cute banner. Okay, now let's make a swag for our tobacco basket. I'm just placing 2 of those leaves, and then I'm taking 2 of those picks and placing it on top of each other, and now I'm just gonna wrap it using my wire all around like that. Just keep on wrapping until you have wrapped everything that you have there. like that. Now I'm just gonna add a piece of cardboard, the same we used to make our tobacco basket, in the middle, so I have somewhere to place my sunflowers. And now I'm gonna glue that piece to my tobacco basket. Just like that, I'm just folding it so I can add a little bit of hot glue. And now I'm having issues with my hot glue gun. And now I'm adding some glue to the top and gluing it, and then I'm gonna take the sunflowers and the leaves, and I'm gonna glue the leaves to the sunflower just like that. And then I'm gonna take my sunflower and place it where I want it while I glue the other ones. Look at that, it's so cute. And now that I just finished, I'm gonna start gluing my sunflowers to my tobacco basket. Like that, so cute. And now we're gonna move on to the banner. And for that I tried to wrap it around my basket, but I couldn't. So what I ended up doing is adding a little bit of hot glue to the sides and gluing it to the outside part of the basket. And that will be it. We will have a beautiful tobacco basket wreath. Look at that, that banner is beautiful. And this is how it turned out. I'm so in love with how this tobacco basket turned out. It's so beautiful. Now we're moving on to number 5. This is almost done. To make our chandelier, I'm gonna first remove those metal thingies that the lampshade had. And then I'm gonna start painting my lampshade, and as you can see, I'm using black paint. And believe me, this looks beautiful. Even though we will see a little bit of those leaves, we will have the most beautiful lampshade ever. So anytime you need to refresh your lampshade, just go ahead, grab some paint and paint it. Look at that, it looks beautiful. So I'm gonna continue painting all around, including the borders and the inside of the lampshade. And as you can see, I'm just wrestling around with my paintbrush. So we're gonna paint it completely just like that, and then we're gonna let it dry and come back and give it second coat to it. I tried to do it, but it was a little bit wet, and believe me, that doesn't work. You're gonna struggle a lot, so let it dry really nice and then come back and do your second coat. Now that it's dry, here is how it's looking. See, those leaves are showing, but they look beautiful. Now I'm gonna cover the top using this netting that you see here, and that's just plastic screen and some felt. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna measure my lampshade, and then I'm gonna cut with like 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Yeah, I just call it seam allowance, even though we're not sewing it. But you need an extra inch around your circle. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna place it on top, and then we're gonna start gluing it using our hot glue. And just like that, we add a little bit of hot glue, then we press it down using something, except from our fingers, because we don't want to get burned, right? I've been there and it hurts. So we're gonna continue gluing it all around our lampshade and pressing it down until we cover all of our lampshade inside with that netting. So we keep adding a little bit of glue, gluing it together. And this is a little bit hard, but believe me, it's not something that you won't be able to make. So I'm gonna continue and finish this. And here is how it's looking. Now I'm cutting the excess on top, and then I'm gonna come back with some felt, because we need to make it sturdy and to glue it really nicely. So we're gonna cut some strips of that felt, just like that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start gluing them to the borders. Like so. We just glue it. And this will make our netting to be a little bit more sturdy and strong, because we need to hang our ornaments on that net. So we're gonna continue doing this until Till we cover all the borders. Just like that. We keep on gluing, don't worry about the top part. Now I'm just removing the excess netting that I have, and then I'm gonna come back and just pinch it down. Add a little bit of hot glue and pinch it down so we get a nice board. Now, I'm gonna take this, upholstery needle. Okay, that was hard time. And some fishing line, and I'm gonna string that around the border of my lampshade. And with this, what we are doing is the handles for it to hang on the ceiling. So, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go on the other side, and I use my fishing line to measure it. And as you can see, I tie again, and now I'm gonna repeat that on the other side. And remember that we're using the same fishing line to measure the center. So we're gonna put this here, and then we're gonna tie it really nicely. Okay, that was a little bit of a struggle. And now we're tying it. And then after we do that, we're gonna measure using that same fishing line, like that. And then we just do the same in the other. What we're gonna do is we're gonna finish tying up our fishing line, just like this. So we have a nice sturdy base so we can hang it and make our chandelier. Now, I'm cutting all the excess, and I'm just gonna take those out of the way so I can draw with a Sharpie a spiral in the middle of my lampshade netting. Lampshade netting. And I'm gonna do the spiral, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start adding my ornaments. And the first ones that I'm gonna add are those two beautiful mini stars from Walmart. I'm gonna remove them from the twine, and I'm gonna tie them in the bottom of my piece of fishing line. I'm gonna tie the first one like so, and I'm gonna give it 2 really tight knots, and then I'm gonna tie my second one, and that's the black one, and I'm gonna tie it really nicely so they kind of dangle together. I don't want them to be too far away from each other. So I'm just tying it and then cut the excess. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that string towards the middle like that, and I'm gonna give it 3 knots, just like that, 3 of those. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how beautiful they look. Now I cut the excess and start doing the same with my ornaments. I'm gonna place them in some of that fishing line, 1 for each fishing line. I'm gonna tie them with 2 knots after I measure all of my fishing line. Yes, I said fishing line, like fishing line, like 100 times. So I'm gonna continue tying them and making them so I can tie them to my chandelier base. Yeah, I was going to say lampshade, but this is not a lampshade anymore. It's chandelier base. So we're going to tie them like that. And then we're going to continue tying them all around our spiral. And I just started in the corners so you can see them. But this is not the way that I'm doing it. I'm starting from the middle to the sides. Now this is how it's looking. I'm going to continue tying my knots on the top, and here you have a good look of how the top's looking and how the ornaments are looking on the bottom. I need to tie lots more, but I wanted to show you. And this is how the chandelier turned out. I have it propped in one of my stick thingies. It's like a tripod, you know. And here is how it's looking. Here's the top where we made the spiral. Here is the lampshade. As you can see, we can see some of the leaves coming through the paint, and I love it because it adds lots of character. Over here we have the beautiful ornaments, and I'm so in love with how they look. They look like a Christmas tree. I'm so in love with this piece. Now it's time for number 4 on our list. First, we're going to take our burnt umber and we're going to mix it with some water so we can get our stain. Then we're going to start staining our wood slats or wood stirring sticks. And we're going to stain them using that paint on 3 sides. I'm showing you that I have a smaller one and a bigger one. That's how they turned out. Now we're gonna paint those 3 longer sticks with Waverly chalk paint in white. Again, just 3 sides. The front one, the sides, the top and the bottom. And now I'm taking some burnt umber to give it a good dry brush. Just like that. Now I'm taking my popsicle sticks, the complete one, not the cut ones, the 45-degree ones. We're taking the complete ones and we're painting them dark gray. And taking the dark umber, the burnt umber, and giving it a good dry brush. If you get a little bit heavy-handed, just stroke your finger around the paint and it will get mixed. Now we're taking the 45-degree popsicle sticks and we're gonna paint them in caramel color. Just like that. We paint all of them. And now we're going to start assembling our frame, and for that we're going to take the shorter sides that you will find the measurements on the description box below, and we're going to glue the shorter side in the bottom of the frame as you can see here. Longer ones going to go up. And now we're attaching to that our 3 white longer strips of wood. Just hot glue them like so. And now we're going to take our frame and we're going to start attaching the front 45-degree angle popsicle sticks. Like so. Now we're going to flip it over and we're going to start attaching our gray popsicle sticks. We're going to measure them so they have some sort of an equal spacing between them. And then we're going to start hot gluing them to our wood center slabs. Like that. Don't worry if you have a little bit over the frame because we're going to cut them a little bit later when we finish. Now we're going to flip it over again and we're going to cut what we have left from our popsicle sticks like that. Just cutting them with our scissors. And that's it. Let me show you the one. This is the one from them, from House, for 55 bucks versus mine. I only spent $5 on mine. And this is how it turned out. As you can see, we have our shorter 45-degree angle popsicle sticks, our white longer sticks, and our popsicle sticks. This is how it looks. Let me give you a closer look. This is how it's looking. And now it's the time for number 3 on our list. First, what we're gonna need is this frame I got from my neighbor. She was throwing it away. It was part of a mirror that she got or something like that. And I took it, and we're gonna need one dowel, one square dowel, and 2 smaller pieces. This will depend on the size that you're using as a frame. And I'm gonna use this piece of pipe. You can use PVC pipe or whatever you have at home, and spackling. Yes, we're gonna spackle this. And now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna glove up. You know, we need those gloves because the hands, we have to save our hands. We're making them suffer with the hand sanitizer and alcohol. And now we're gonna start applying our spackling all over our piece. Just like that, just spackle that and spank it. No spanking, no spanking. Just apply it nicely all over your frame like you see me doing here. And we're gonna continue applying it completely until we cover all of our piece. If you like what you see here and you like modern farmhouse, boho decor, a couple of silly jokes, and a little bit of violence, no spanking, no spanking. We're not gonna spank our pieces. Remember to subscribe because that's what I do here, except for the spanking. And now I'm applying my spackling to my pipe. Remember that you can use a PVC pipe. And now I'm just rolling it on top of my piece like that, so we can create the bark effect that we're looking for, because we're making it look like tree bark. And look at that, it's looking beautiful. Over there, don't look at that because we're gonna fix that. But look at the beautiful sides. And we're gonna roll it around like that. And now we're gonna let it dry completely. And I'm gonna paint it, spray paint it, using this cheap spray paint I found at Walmart. This is how it looks after it's dry. And then we're gonna move on to our tree bark look using paint. And for that, I'm gonna start painting, not completely, just a good coat, like a light coat of burnt umber, as you see me doing here. We want that black to show in some spaces. We don't want to cover it completely. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint it lightly. You see here, nothing too fancy. After we finish with that, we're gonna let it dry, and we're gonna come back with this rust paint, and we're gonna give it a dry brush. We're gonna apply a lot less than we did with the burnt umber, but we want it to show also. Just apply it all over without covering all of your black and burnt umber. As you see here, we applied it, and now I'm coming back with my hazelnut from Waverly, and this will be a complete dry brushing effect. We need a paper towel, and now we're gonna apply it only to the places that are a little bit dry on our bark, so it can look like tree bark. And after that, we're gonna let that dry brush dry, and we're gonna come back with this ivory color, and we're gonna give it a lighter, even lighter dry brush. And with that, we will finish our tree bark look. Look at that, it's just looking like a tree. And I just took that from a tree, no. You know I didn't. Now I'm gonna take my dowels and I'm gonna stain them using my favorite antique wax. You know I love this stuff. So I'm gonna stain them and I'm gonna let everything dry overnight so I can come back and glue our pieces from the center. We're gonna glue that, adding wood glue, glue it in the center, add the other one to the side, both of them, glue them really nicely, and then we're gonna let it dry for 2 hours, more or less. It depends on the glue that you're using. We'll let it dry completely and then come back to assembling our wreath. Add lots of glue. Yeah, that's what I was doing over there. And now that it's dry and it's sturdy and it's looking beautiful, we're gonna start with all of those florals that you see there. I got all of them at Walmart. You know, I don't have a Dollar Tree. Yeah, it's so sad. But I got them and I love them. Walmart just brought the most beautiful flowers this fall. And we're gonna start assembling our beautiful swag. And for that, I'm just measuring it out. I'm adding some of the picks that I found, and those beautiful velvet picks I found at Walmart. I'm so in love with them. And then we're gonna add some of the smaller picks that you see there to the bottom. And after that, I'm gonna start tying them using some wire. You can use floral wire. I'm just using a wire that I had at home. And then we're gonna bend it and twist it and tie them together like that. And when we have them all put together nicely, we are gonna come back. So you see that we have a bare spot over there. Cut the excess that's just showing off. And then when we cut the excess, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back to add and attach. First of all, attach our swag to our window, and for that I'm just using some pipe cleaners, twisting them around like you see here. I'm gonna add another one there, and now I'm gonna add some floral to the sides to cover a little bit of that bare spot. And as you can see, I just used one that is in our color palette, so I'm gonna add one of the neutral one, and the other one is gonna be an orange one. So forget that you see me here adding that burnt orange kind of color. And now I'm cutting the excess, and I'm gonna add this beautiful pumpkin. Lots of hot glue, glue it over there, and then I'm gonna come back with 2 more pumpkins and a couple, no, just 2 pine cones. No pumpkins. Couple of pine cones, and I'm gonna add those pine cones, one on the top over there. And as you can see, I'm just gluing to my floral instead of gluing to my wreath, because we want to keep that wreath nice so we can reuse it and reuse it and reuse it for all the seasons. So I'm gluing to my florals instead of gluing to my wreath. I'm adding some greenery, I'm adding more pine cones, and after we add all of those pine cones, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move on to adding our beautiful bow. My mom wants a simple bow over there in that corner, and I'm gonna use this buffalo check ribbon that I got. I finally got some buffalo check ribbon. Yay, I'm so excited. But she wants a simple bow, so not so exciting because I wanted to play with that ribbon. I'm just cutting 2 pieces of the same size, and now you're gonna see me glue them together like that. And I'll glue them together, both of them, and then I'm gonna glue them using the same glue that they have together. Yes, I know, a lot of togetherness in that bow. And now I'm just taking a little bit piece of twine and I'm tying them together, and as you will see, I'm strong. No, that's not true. The twine didn't want it to tie as tight as I wanted it. And now I'm cutting the excess, and I'm gonna fluff it a little bit here and there to see if it's all how I want it. Now I'm gonna cut a long piece of the ribbon, ducktailed it like that. And then I'm gonna attach that to my beautiful bow with a pipe cleaner, a white pipe cleaner. And that will be it. We will take that bow and attach it to our wreath. And if you hear some screams, those are my neighbors having too much fun. The kids are enjoying themselves. And after I attached that, I added a little bit of hot glue and that will be it. Beautiful. And this is how it turned out. As you can see over here, we have the beautiful swag. I'm so in love with this swag and all the pumpkins it has. I'm loving it. And over here, we have the simple bow that she wanted. You know me, if that was my wreath, it will have a beautiful funky bow with lots of ribbon and lots of extra thing because I'm extra. Now let's move on to number 2. First, I'm gonna take this lemon that I have on a wire and I'm gonna cut a V shape to the side of it, just like that. I'm gonna cut it, just trying to get my exacto. That's not an X-Acto knife, that's a box cutter. I'm taking my box cutter deep inside my lemon, but not going all the way through. It's like cutting deep, but not cutting it all. Yeah, it's hard to explain. You will see it a little bit later. And I'm gonna cut that V shape, and now I'm gonna start, after I got it really nicely like that, I'm gonna start peeling off that foam from the side, just like that. We're gonna peel that piece of foam. And after we remove that piece, you're gonna see that we have some sort of a mouth. And if you saw the thumbnail, we are making a, oh my gosh, I forgot the name. My son gave me the name, but I know that plant eats flies and I cannot remember what else. So, a man-eating plant. But this one is vegetarian, so she will eat only other plants. Oh, that's cannibalism. No, she is on a diet. Now I'm taking that leaf green and I'm gonna paint it, like dabbing it on. Yeah, we're doing makeup on this beautiful plant. And I'm gonna dab it on that lemon so I can get 2 different colors, like a lighter green and a deeper green. You will see the effect that we get after it dries. Now I repeat it with all my lemons, and now I'm taking that watermelon color and painting the insides of the mouth of my plant. I'm using a sponge brush, but then I'm gonna move on to using a paintbrush because I want everything to be covered really nicely so we can get that mouth kind of effect. And we're gonna continue painting and removing all of that extra foam so it doesn't look like it has cavities, all of that on its teeth. And we're gonna continue painting just like that. Yeah, if you can hear some noise, my neighbors are having a little bit too much fun. Now I'm just painting the lips. You know, she needs her lipstick. So we are adding some lipstick and making it cute. And then when we have her lipstick done, like that, we're gonna repeat it on all of them. Let them dry and take some of that sturdy felt. You can use also foam. You can use poster board, whatever you have at hand. And I'm taking those pieces, adding a little bit of hot glue on my low temp. I forgot to give myself a manicure, so don't look at my nails. And just add some hot glue and then add them to the mouth of our plant. And she's the cutest, creepiest thing ever. Hi, I forgot. Yeah, she's a eating thingy. Now we have a name for her. She's the eating thingy. And look at that, she's the cutest eating thingy. Now that we have everything ready, we're gonna start assembling our plant. And for that, I'm using a terracotta pot, some leaves, foam, and also our heads. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some foam and just fill our terracotta pot with it. Just tear some pieces of that and throw them in there. Place them really nicely. If you need, add some hot glue so they can stick together and stick to the pot. And continue adding them until you fill your pot. Then we're gonna add a little bit of hot glue so they stay together, like that. And I want you to really see how we make this, so that's why you're seeing it on the actual time without cutting or just making it go faster. Because this is really easy. And now I'm gonna cut this piece of foliage. That's how it's called. You can find it at Walmart. I'm gonna take the tag off. First of all, I have my hands all painted, and I'm gonna cut it here. I'm gonna cut the excess of wire like that, just bending it a couple of times and it will break. And then after I cut it, I'm gonna stick it in the center of my foam, just like that. Then I'm gonna fluff it a bit, not too much, just a little bit, because we're gonna add all of those leaves also. So we're gonna fluff it like that. And then we're gonna start adding our leaves. We're gonna add them all around it so we cannot see that foam. And as you can see, I'm taking my time adding my leaves so I can have a full look all around the pot. And we continue adding. I added 6 of those in total. And we add the last one. I'm playing around with it. Then I'm gonna add, no, that wasn't the last one. It's this one. We're gonna add the last one. Yeah, that's the last one. And after we add that one, we're gonna start placing. Look at that. It's a full plant. And we're gonna start placing our plant heads, creepy faces on there. But as I figured out, I have to remove that wire, and I removed it. And now I'm just taking the cap from one of my branches from the big bush from the big bush or plant, or you know, the pick we use. And I'm adding that with a little bit of hot glue and then bending my wire so it looks to the front like so. Now I'm gonna repeat the process with another one of those branches, and I'm gonna remove the wire, and the struggle is real, so you just hold it and pull really nice. And then add hot glue and repeat the same steps. You just add your lemon to the top. Lemon, no, it's not a lemon anymore. It's a plant. And now bend it, and that will be it. Play around with your foliage a little bit more to make it look like you want to. And you will have a beautiful, cute, creepy plant. Look at that. Plants turned out. Look at that, they are so cute. I'm so in love. Yeah, they're not cute. They are creepy, kinda cute. I just love them. They are so perfect for my Halloween decor for this year. I'm loving them. Now it's time for the last video on our list, number 1. For our first project, what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this Halloween background that we have on this frame. You can use a Dollar Tree or maybe some type of frame. This is a canvas insert, wooden insert. Now I'm gonna take some poster board. I'm gonna take one of them and I'm gonna take it out of the packaging so I can cover it with this buffalo check ribbon. And I'm gonna cut it, and this is something that I just missed a little bit. So cut the first one, but don't cut the second one, because you're gonna want them to look like it's one piece. So you attach your first piece, and then while it is on the spool, you're gonna attach it to your poster board, because as you can see, I had to rip it off, and then I got a space that I don't have any ribbon on it. So I'm just gonna fix that, adding a little bit more of that ribbon, but the best way is not to do that. So now I'm gonna add some glue to my frame, and I'm gonna glue the back to my frame. Then I'm gonna secure it really nicely, and I'm gonna bring my Let It Snow sign to paint it. But first I'm gonna remove that twine and cover that little hole over there. And I'm using wood filler to cover it. You can use spackling, you can use whatever you want to cover it, even a little bit of hot glue. Now that I sanded it, I'm gonna take Waverly chalk paint in white, and I'm gonna paint all of my letters in that beautiful white color. And as you can see, now we don't have the little hole on top. So we're gonna paint it completely like this. And then I'm gonna come back for that snowflake. And that snowflake, I want to paint it black and add a little bit of sparkle to it. So let's paint it black and let it dry completely, because yeah, I know I'm impatient and sometimes I don't let my things dry. So we're gonna paint it and let it dry for the first time ever. Then when we finish and it's really dried, we're gonna come back, add our glue, and as you saw in the beginning, it's Elmer's glue. You can use Mod Podge if you want, but I'm gonna use Elmer's glue. And somehow I just lost the footage for me applying the glue, but you're gonna paint it just like we did with the black paint. Oh, you see, I had a little bit of that footage. Now I'm gonna apply my glitter, shake it really nicely, and then we're gonna glue our sign to the backdrop. And that will be it. We apply a generous amount of hot glue, stick it in there, and that's it. Thank you for sticking with me till the end. Remember that if you like it, hit the thumbs up. If you love it, subscribe so you can keep on watching this type of videos. Take care. Bye-bye.